Yo, alright Dave. So to set this up, there's two ways. It depends if you're using a third party VST or a native FL1. So if you're using a native FL1, like the 3x oscillator, there's no MIDI routing options here. So what you have to do is open a MIDI out, and then you go to the MIDI out and you set a port number of your choice, and then when you go to the preset, so you need to choose the same port number when it says from FL. So if we go to events, you'll see all the port numbers, and so you choose the same one that you set in the MIDI out. Now that's only for each element that you want it to track. So if we have another channel with a different MIDI pattern we want our EQ to follow, like on a different mixer track, then all you do is just set a different port number. And because of the way you've got to do that if you're using an FL plugin, I suggest using a layer, because you can link, I don't know if you've used layers, I'm guessing you have, but you can link these two channels to the one layer, and then you can just put the notes in this channel and it controls both. But if you don't use the layer, then you have to obviously copy and paste the MIDI into the MIDI out plugin. So that's for the natives. If you're using third party, it's a piece of piss. So you go onto your plugin, and then you just choose the settings window, and then you've got your output port here, and again you just set the number like before, and that's much easier. I don't know why FL don't give you these options on the native ones, but there you go. So that's how you set it up. Hope it made sense. Just ask me if not. I'll go back to the plugin. So when you load the plugin, I'll have, hang on, let me reload it. Where is it? No, there. Right, so when you load it, once you've linked it, like I've just explained, it'll track the fundamental pitch of each MIDI note that's playing at that particular time. So for example, if it was tracking this, it'd track the C5, B5, F5, and then G sharp or A flat 5. And then if you want to add a harmonic of those notes, then that's where you go to the here, it's add harmonic, and it's another patcher inside patcher. So you double click, go into there, and then obviously I've sent you the preset, so put the preset in your required folder, and then load it in the harmonic snapping. And there you go, and it's basically the same layout as the fundamental pitch, but a couple of differences. So and then it just works following the EQ, which is inside the map tab, which you can open up and double click to if you want to have a look at it moving along. Oh god, that doesn't sound nice at all. Turn that off. So if you put that up, you see it's tracking. So that's how I've set it up. I've set it up so that you don't have to set anything up in the harmonic section. You just load the preset and it's good to go. I showed you the fundamental, the main part on the video the other day, but I'll go back and explain it because I've changed a couple of bits. So let's back to it. Come on. There we go. Right, so I'll just open this EQ up to show you. Right, so play. So it's tracking the notes now, but you can't see because this is the volume right down, the default is down. So this is tracking the fundamental now, and the fundamental is active with the green light, and you can turn the fundamental off here, and then left to right is the bandwidth amount, and then you've got the low cut. Now if you have the offset fully to the right, the low cut starts at the same place as the fundamental, and in this case it's starts on C5 like I showed before, and then you've got the option to drag it lower so that you're not taking the peak off, because obviously because it's set to the same pitch as our fundamental peak filter, it's dipping that, so that's why I put the offset there. So you can just go all the way to 0, 0 of the offset control, I mean, not 0 hertz. Right, and then you can reset that if you want. This is the filter slope, and that changes all of them, as you can see here. I'll just do it again, and then reset. So then you've got the octave series. So this is octaves of the fundamental, and you can add them in like this, and there's 10 of them. So when you go on the map tab, you'll see there's 2 EQs. So I'll leave this one open as well. Second. Yeah, the extra one's on this extra EQ. But you'll notice, so because our starting pitch was C5, we don't really need 10 octaves full in this case, because it maxes out. So if I go to the piano roll and drag the notes down, see, you'll see them here, and I'll boost them a bit so you can see them. I'll talk about this control in a second. So yeah, if we go back to the piano roll, we're on F1 now. So you'll see, we'll get the other EQ up as well. 1 second. I'm just holding the mic. That's why it's rumbling. So here's the first EQ, and then there's the second EQ. So because if we're EQing a really low sound, we can add quite a lot of octaves in of each fundamental and harmonic that we add in the add harmonic section. But if we go back to the piano roll and drag this note up, you'll see that these start bunching together because they can't climb any higher than the 20,000 hertz that FL's EQ cuts off at. So it'll all start building up at the extreme high end. So be mindful of that if you're doing a lead melody, you won't really need all full 10 octaves active, because as I say, they all bunch together. I need to code something in it to automatically turn them off when they bunch together, but I haven't figured that out yet. So yeah, just be mindful of that, and use your ears. Obviously, you've got good ears, and just take them out, because as I say, we don't need them in that case. Maybe that one could stay in, but we don't really need the others. Now let's go back to talk on the other controls. So you've got an invert. So you've got an invert starting at the first fundamental, and whenever you press an invert, it'll invert anything after it as well. So as you can see, it's inverted the whole series. But then if you wanted to only do individual ones, they've all got inverts underneath. And again, as I say, it just inverts going forward. But you can tailor it however you want. It's pretty flexible. And then let's just take these off to show you. And set this back into the middle. Right, so here we've got the XY controller where you can do a boost, a gain boost, and your bandwidth. And as I say, you can use the invert for the cut. But what you've also got is the slope setting for how quickly the harmonics, the octave harmonics die off. This took quite a bit of coding, but yeah. So if you go to the right, it'll make them, it'll make a steeper curve and therefore quiet down quicker, like so. And the opposite. So the middle is the default, and yeah, if you go to the left, you'll see that the slope is a lot more relaxed, which means all the harmonics are a lot higher. And if you go fully left, all the harmonics will equal each other. So if we pull this down, you'll see they all remain the same level, because I've took off any bias. So this is a bias control for your slope of how quickly the octaves of any fundamental or harmonic die off. When you add, your snapping, you've got these options individually for each harmonic. And then it's the same thing, but for the bandwidth here. So you can change the curve of the bandwidth, the steepness. And this works on wherever this position is. So here, there is actually not really any bandwidth happening. So if you change this control, nothing will happen, because we've got no bandwidth to for the formulas to go off. So this control here only works when this one has some bandwidth, which, as I say, is left to right. So we'll give it some nice bandwidth. Yep, we'll set this to default, which is the middle. And then if you go to the, I have to think me left and right there, to the left, it'll start reducing the dips. Okay, and if you go to the right, it put more valleys. So you can tailor the curve greatly. And then you've got your output gain. Now, it's similar for the harmonics, which I'll show you, but it's a bit different. So, we've just double-clicked into here, and now this is the harmonic section. But you'll notice in this map, we've also got add harmonic. So we can keep on going in, patcher in patcher, to add harmonics. It's a bit annoying, granted, but the reason I did that for now is so you can keep CPU down and just go into them when you need to add a new harmonic. But it means you're keeping on, clicking patches into patches. But see, if we go to there, this is patcher in a patcher in a patcher. But anyway, go back to the harmonic panel. Now this section is exactly the same. Oh, there's a section I didn't show you actually. So 1 second. Let's get this EQ up. Right, you've got a +1 button here. Now what that means is that the first octave of the fundamental or harmonic will be played. It'll skip an octave and it'll play one up. So if we click it, you'll see it misses an octave out, sorry. Because sometimes when you play the harmonics on the second octave up, it sounds a lot better. So I wanted to give that option. So for the fundamental, which is, you know, the main EQ when you load it, has this one option for the octaves frequencies to skip an octave. Now on the harmonic side, you've got two options. You've got the same. One second. Make that steeper to ease this to show you. So you've got the same as the other, but I've also given you an extra one here as well. And the reason I did that is just to separate, so you've got options to separate the harmonics a bit more from the fundamental. So, for example, this jumps not the fundamental, but it jumps the harmonic up an octave. So in essence, it's the fundamental of this particular harmonic, if that makes sense. So you can do that. And then you can also, for the octaves after that, put a gap of an octave as well. And then the rest is the same. But you're obviously wondering, how do you set what harmonic it is? And that's what you use this for. So it gives you a range of 1 to 11 semitones. So when it's in the 0 position all the way here, this is 1 semitone added onto the fundamental pitch. So currently, let's see, it's on D4 here. The fundamental's on D4. So this particular harmonic is on D sharp now, because when you add this harmonic snap in, this 0 position is always the fundamental plus 1 semitone. Now obviously then there's 2 semitones going to E, and you get the idea. 3 semitones going to F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp. And then the reason I don't give you an option to go to D again, to go to the full octave, is because there's no point, because you've got the octaves on the first section. So if you want to add another harmonic in, then you go to the map tab, double click into the add harmonic again, do the same thing, and then set your harmonic the same. But obviously if you set it to the same setting as this offset, you'll be doubling up the same harmonic, which you might want, I don't know. But it's basically to do different harmonics. I hope I've made sense with most of that. There's a delay on this mic, so just on an old laptop, you see, so it's a bit awkward hearing the delay. But I think I've explained most stuff now. The GUI is going to be changed. It's just done a quick one for now. And yeah, I think that's mostly it. Oh, sorry, there was one more thing. Because it's jumping pitch based on MIDI, if you're noticing clicks and pops, then go into each EQ and just turn the linear phase on. I've already set them all to the low setting, and that tends to be good enough to get rid of any clicks and pops. Obviously that'll give you a little bit of latency, well, hopefully you should be fine without it. And as I say, if you hear any clicks and pops, then just stick that on, and don't forget to put them on both for EQ in each patcher. So then obviously go into these patches as well, any patches that are active, and do the linear phase as well. And yeah, that's it.